There is nothing worse spending an hour with a prospect, only get to the end of the call and they tell you,
I had to think about it.
I need to run this by my spouse.
It's too expensive.
Whatever the objection is. Today I'm going to share with you 10 ways to overcome and prevent these objections from happening in the first place. So please understand that if you're a health professional, you have to adopt the mindset of whatever you think about sales, this is not about sales. This is about how do I become a more influential communicator so I can help people do what's best for them. Because if I can't do this, then they suffer. Because if you get all the leads in the world, if you have, visibility, etc., but you get people on Zoom or on the phone with you and you can't enroll them, it's all for naught. So number one is you have to become the buyer, not the seller. So we have a principle in our kind of sales training called unselling. And unselling is essentially pushing people away, not from ego narcissism, but just gently pushing people away where you're like, they don't feel like you're selling them anything. And the more people realize you don't need them, the more they want you. So the goal is to understand that you are the expert, they have the problem. So you are the expert in the solution, they're the expert in the problem. In no world should you ever have to dance for them and give discounts and bend over backwards, because them working with you leaves a little bit of a positive dent in your revenue. It's very insignificant, but you working with them changes their life. Now, please understand that in a coaching relationship, the client has to do the work. They have to change certain things. They have to move differently, they have to eat differently, they have to think differently, etc. And therefore, you need them to sell you on why they can succeed. So instead of saying like, oh my God, you'd be so amazing. I know what, you'd be an amazing client. You'd totally do this. Cool. You can maybe believe that, but you have to get them to say that. So listen, I've worked with a lot of people. I'd love to know from you why you believe you could be my next success story. Ask them the question, let them tell you. And if you sense any doubt or hesitation in their own self-belief and confidence, you got to bring it up. Like, hey man, thank you. I'm sensing a little bit of hesitation. What's coming up for you? Well, I just failed in the past and nothing's really worked out. Hey, I totally get that. And that's why we're having this conversation. But please, I need you to understand that the only reason I'm in business is because of my clients' results. So my reputation is very important to me. If I were to invite you into working with us, I need to know from you that you have what it takes to do the work, keep going when the going gets tough. And there will be moments where those limiting beliefs and those old stories are going to kick back in that have kept you where you are. But I need you to tell me that you have what it takes to move through that, because if you don't, we're not working together. When you have that conversation with a prospect, it's a very different conversation. You're not selling them anything. They're selling you, and you are the one who is selectively choosing the right clients. So you enroll the right people who are more likely to win. Cool? Number two is provide pre-call content. I don't care what type of funnel you have. I'm not going to get into that in this video, but when people are booking a call with you, they have to consume some of your stuff ahead of time. If someone doesn't know who you are and they jump on a phone call with you and they have no context around your philosophy or how you help people, you're going to waste a lot of time. And then you're having to sell them not only on your program, but the methodology upon which the program is built. As an example, in our business, a very fundamental system we help install into our clients' businesses is the perfect client pipeline. It's a 4-step acquisition system, paid ads, evergreen masterclass, application, phone call. If someone gets on a call with us and they have no idea about what that is, it's going to be a very challenging call, because now we have to sell them on the importance of running ads versus organic, how running an evergreen masterclass is better than anything else they're doing, how building selling skills is the most important thing they can do. I want content before the call to do that so they come to the call understanding the context. So however you do what you do, you're going to want to give that prospect a good understanding of, here's how we do things differently here. Right? You have this problem and all these other people or all these other solutions do it this way. And this is why they don't work. Our approach is different. And on our upcoming call, we're going to talk about this, but I want to give you a bit of, a foundation so you understand, so that we can actually have an apples to apples conversation. So any pre-call content is going to be very important. Now, third kind of ties in with that, which is to provide an overwhelming amount of social proof. You want to provide people with so much social proof that they don't even want to keep scrolling and looking through it, because they're like, fuck, okay, I get it. I get it. Like, you've been at this for so long, you've helped thousands of people. I get it. Please understand as well, if you don't have that amount of social proof, well, you better buckle up and build your selling skills, because you need to make up in conviction what you lack in proof. especially when you're dealing with cold audiences, cold prospects who don't already know, like, and trust you. They're getting on a call with you and they're like,
so I'm talking with 3 other people. How are you different?
like, you're fucked if that's the conversation. So you have to be so good and convicted in what you do that you're willing to lean in and not sell them, but unsell them. And then you have to have the conviction to be like, listen, like, if you don't work with me, that will be the dumbest decision you ever make. Like, you don't have to say that, but you have to believe that. So please understand, what you lack in social proof, you have to make up conviction. Over time, you just keep feeding the social proof into the pre-call marketing. So once they book the call, there's going to be a confirmation page, and just litter that page with testimonials, video, screenshots, everything to show them what's possible for other people like them. Okay. Now, fourth is to send that particular individual a very custom tailored case study. So if you know that this person, well, if you're obviously doing things intelligently, you're working with a single target market. So essentially all of your case studies and testimonials will be from the same type of demographic. However, if there are nuances, so let's say that you're helping women with Hashimoto's and you happen to know that this person who just put to call with you is a busy mom because they said that in their application. Well, find a testimonial of a client of yours who is also a busy mom and send it to that person. Hey, looking forward to talking to you tomorrow. Just going through your application. I thought I'd send this case study of Jen over to you. Reminds me a little bit of what I'm seeing in your application, etc. When we're looking at proof, we will always have a greater affinity to proof from other people just like us. So if I saw a testimonial from a charming, good-looking bald guy who has 4 kids and a successful business, then I will take that testimonial with a little bit more weight than a female who's single and parties in her 20s. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't have that, that's okay. Like, at the minimum, you have to do your darndest to get a lot of social proof, because we live in a day and age where skepticism's at an all-time high, trust is at an all-time low, people have a million options, and they need to know that working with you is going to be the best option. Number 5 is to compile and show quantitative results. So in business, it's fairly easy. I can tell you over the past 12 months, our clients see a 314% ROI in working with us. Our top 10% of clients make over $586,000. Okay, so that's fine in our context. But what do you do in your case? If you're a health professional helping people overcome fatigue, as an example, there's 2 ways of looking at this. You either help somebody qualitatively or quantitatively. So if you specialize in weight loss, well, as the simple starting point, you have to know where people start and where they end. And then you can aggregate that to say, like, on average, our clients lose 31.2 pounds in 9 weeks. So this, boom, it's like, we've worked with hundreds of women and this is the average results. Okay. Now, if you don't do something quantitative like that, let's say it's, fixing fatigue, how do you quantitatively show that? Here's what you do. So when you start working on a client, scale of 1 to 10, you create your own measurement system. So scale of 1 to 10, 10 is I have more energy than I know what to do with. I can't even sleep. 0 is I can barely open my eyes. So a person comes in to work with you and they're at like a 3 as a starting point. Okay. And then you measure again at 30, 60, 90 days, whatever the intervals are for the length of your program. So let's say day 30, they go from a 3 to a 5. And then from 30 to 60, they go from a 5 to a 7. And then from 60 to 90, they go from a 7 to a 9, something like that. So you can say, like, listen, like, in the first 30 days, on average, our clients see a 75% increase in their energy. Now, what the hell does that mean? I don't even know what a 75% increase in energy means, but it's a very positive number. Basically, it's saying our clients typically have twice as much energy than they started 30 days ago, as opposed to they just start feeling better. So you can certainly talk about the qualitative stuff and how it's, from a symptomatic perspective, shown up differently in their life. Like, they're able to take their kids to soccer practice and they can play with their kids after school. You can talk about those symptoms or how it shows up for them. And also simply creating your own measurement scale. So you create your own quantitative way of measuring client results. It's very, very effective and it's very simple to do. Okay. So no matter what type of business, whether it's like, let's say migraine headaches, right? So let's say you work with migraines, which is an amazing market to work with. Let's say the people you have coming in, on average, let's say you've worked with 100 people, on average, our clients coming in suffer from 3.5 headaches per week, migraines. In the first 30 days, we're able to reduce that from 3.5 to 1.8 on average. So right away, and how you're doing this is you're just basically surveying your clients. They come in, how many headaches do you have per week? Cool, 30 days, how many are you having per week now? And you just aggregate the data. That data is proprietary to your business, and then you share that in your marketing. On average, people coming to work with us suffer from 3.8 headaches, migraines per week. They're debilitated, they can't work properly, they can't show up for their family. Within just 30 days, our clients go from that to only 1.8 headaches per week. Want to see how they're doing it? Click below to get our proven system. That's a very, very effective marketing message compared to making bold promises and claims. You're sharing your clients' results as opposed to just making claims out of thin air. So if you can start to quantify your client results, it allows you to share it in your marketing. It makes your sales conversations way more compelling because it's like, dude, I'm not selling you anything. I'm just saying on average, this is what we're seeing. So like, do you want to, like, you're looking for a guarantee? Well, you're not going to get that because you have to do the work. I can't live inside your body, but I can help reduce the risk by showing you this proof with all of these different data points over hundreds upon hundreds of clients. So if it can work for them, what makes you think that it wouldn't work for you? Number 6 is we want to lower sales resistance early on. So when you're having an enrollment call with a prospective client, you start the call and you set the agenda. You have to take leadership early on, but you're not going to start the call by saying, so here's how this is going to go. I'm going to walk you through a few things. I'm going to make you an offer, and then I need you to make a decision at the end of this call. Is that fair? That's putting a huge amount of pressure, and sales pressure specifically, on the prospect. Instead, you want to be very clear. Say, hey, listen, I'm going to ask you a few questions to get a better sense of where you're at, what's going on with your insert problem, how you want things to look a little bit differently, and then look at some of the obstacles or challenges that have been holding you back. Once we've got that dialed in, then we can put together a customized game plan for you. And once we've done all that, if you'd like to hear about how I might be able to help you, move a lot faster, then we can talk about that. Would that be okay? So now it's the person's like, yeah, that'd be great. So we're using words like maybe, possibly. I'm not sure if we're going to get there or not, but if we do, is that okay if I show you what the next steps could look like? It's super casual, right? If the person starts off the call and says,
let's just cut to the chase. How much is it?
Well, I mean, yeah, great question. I'm sure you want to get to the brass taxes. I don't even know what we're talking about though. So is it okay if I get a better sense of where you're at so I can even see if this is going to be a good fit for you? Because I don't know if I can help you. So if I don't know if I can help you or if you qualify, I really can't give you a price. Is that fair? So you want to reduce the sales pressure early on. We have to get their guard down. They don't trust you. They don't trust you yet. Okay. They're going to give you some people very short responses. They're super closed, and you have to get them to open up. And that's not going to happen if you're like, I need a yes or no by the end of this call. Okay. That type of stuff is just not going to work. So reduce the sales pressure early on in the conversation. Hey, we'll get back to the video in just a moment, but if you're enjoying this content, hit that subscribe button below. It will help me sleep a lot better at night. But more importantly for you, it'll help you build your dream a lot faster. So go ahead, subscribe, and we'll get back to the show. Number 7 is deepen your discovery. This is one of the biggest problems I see when I'm reviewing calls, is a lot of health professionals, or even just coaches in general, like they go through a series of questions like it's an intake form. So like, when you go to a clinic and you get the board, the checklist thingamajig, and they're like, where's the pain? And you're filling out this fucking 5-page intake form. You're like, what am I doing here? It's a waste of time. Yeah, it's here, 10 years, like the pain is here, I'm not on any medications. That's what a lot of these calls sound like. It's very, very superficial, fact-finding questions. You're not going to get anywhere with that stuff. I don't care what you're selling. People buy based on emotion, period. They justify it with logic down the road. So in your conversation around discovery, the basic framework is this. Where are you now? Where do you want to go? What are the challenges in the way? That's it, okay? You have to stretch the gap, and in each of those areas, you deepen. You have to go from surface level into levels 1, 2, and 3. So as an example, tell me, why are we talking now? What's going on with your, let's say, migraine headaches that prompted you to book this call with me today, not a year ago or 6 months down the road? And they're going to tell you, What amateurs do is they're like, cool, thanks for sharing that. On to the next question. So how do you want things to be different in the future? Well, I don't want what I'm experiencing, and I want to have no migraines. That's a pretty obvious answer. So that's what amateurs do. What pros do is they actively listen. So let's say that someone's giving you a few minutes of intel of why they're talking today. Well, let me give you the backstory. And you're like, okay, fuck, this is going to be a long monologue. By the way, early in the setting agenda, just ask for permission. Is it okay just to keep on time if I politely interrupt you if I notice we get off track? Is that okay with you? They'll say for sure. So when they start going off into their story, which by the way is completely irrelevant in most cases, here's how you cut them off politely. So let's say you're asking the question, why are we talking today? Which essentially comes back to the main problem they're here to solve. And they start going off on all sorts of tangents. You got to actively listen to what they're saying. And let's say they say, well, you know, like I've done a lot of stuff and I did this one thing before and it didn't really work. Hold on. Can we double click on that? When you say you did this other thing that didn't work, what specifically did you do there? See what I did? I just politely interrupted and I'm using a clarifying question to show that I'm actually listening and giving it, like I actually give a shit. Tell me more about this thing. I don't know what you just said. It's ambiguous. It's not clear. I want to know exactly what it is you did. And they'll say, well, you know, I did some, I don't know, whatever, some random medication and, you know, it didn't really work. Okay, well, I don't, again, I'm still not super clear on that. So it's like, hey, thanks for sharing that. When you say it didn't work, I mean, were there like side effects or symptoms, or can you just talk me through that a little bit? Again, I'm peeling back the onion to get more data, to get more clarity. Okay, so that's level one. I call these the 3 levels of conversational questions. Level 1 is a problem question. It's a fact-finding question. Why are we talking today? What's the problem you want my help solving? They're going to give you an answer. And if they don't give you a clear answer, you ask a clarifying question. Let's double click on that. Can you expand on that? What exactly do you mean by that? Can you unpack that for me? That way, it tells them you're listening and you want more detail. If they give that detail to you initially or in the level 2 clarifying question, then we go into an impact question. And this is where most people miss the ball. So I did this, you know, these medications and they had all these side effects and da. Okay, so again, amateurs will be like, thanks for sharing that. And they go right back up to the next fact-finding question. Pros will be like, man, that's got to be tough. And that's it. And then just sit in the silence and let the prospect talk. Or you can say like, well, how did that make you feel, you know, considering how much trust you put into your doctor and then you're on these meds for 6 months, only to be worse. So notice my tone and my cadence slows down. How did that make you feel? Yeah, that's got to be rough. I mean, what is that held you back from doing that you would have wanted to be doing, assuming that stuff would have worked? Yeah, like I can barely get off the couch. I can't go to work. Tell me more. Like, what do you do for work? Do you mind me asking? Oh, I'm whatever. I work at an airlines. Okay, so right now, what you're experiencing is migraines several days a week. Is that compromising your ability to show up for shifts at work? Yeah, it's not ideal. No, I get that. Like, I mean, you know, as a business owner myself, like I can only imagine when you think about that, do you consider yourself right now to be an asset or a liability to the company? Like if you're missing half the days you're supposed to be working. Yeah, like it's not good. It's probably a liability. Yeah, I mean, what makes you say that though? So I could say like, yeah, 100%. Or I could say, well, what makes you believe you'd be a liability? Well, if I can't show up at work, then what if I got fired? Hey, listen, like that would be terrible. I mean, do you mind me asking what your salary is roughly, if you don't mind sharing? Yeah, I make about 80 grand. Okay. I mean, God forbid, can you imagine if you got fired and lost $80,000 because of these migraines? What would that mean to you and your family? Do you see what I'm doing here? I'm just going down and down and down, and I'm uncovering leverage. Now I'm not even talking about a health issue anymore. I'm talking about this now becomes an ROI conversation. You're going to lose $80,000 as a salary in this example because of your migraines. If I have a solution that's $5,000, can you see now why the value is a no-brainer, right? So this is why you have to get very, very good at this in discovery. Is discovery, all of the issues that happen down the road in the call happen at the start. It's just you're not listening to what people are saying. So you have to deepen your discovery. And when I say deepen it, I don't mean keep asking more fact-finding questions. I mean, ask the select few and go deep into the emotion. And that leads me into number 8, which is ask questions that challenge commitments. So when we talk about commitment, and I'll come back to that question I just gave to you in a second, but when we talk about commitment, remember, the client has to do the work. Like, you can't push a button on their forehead and they have no more migraines. They have to do different things. So a question you can ask at any point in the discovery is, all right, so you're here, you want to be there, you've done all this other stuff. I mean, what do you feel you need to change in order to get these types of results? And they're going to say, well, I'm not sure. That's why I'm here. Or maybe they'll give you an answer. And then you can just honestly give them honest feedback to be like, hey, can I be real with you for a second? They're like, sure. The reality is you're currently having, 3 to 4 migraines a week. You want to have no migraines so you can live this amazing, beautiful life. And a lot of people talk about what they want, but their actions do not align with those goals. So I just want to be very honest with you that this is not going to be overly hard. It's just going to require you to make a decision and then be consistent in terms of how you show up and follow a proven plan. Can you do that? Yeah, I can. Okay, cool, right? You ask the question of, can they show, like if they're asking questions like, how much time is this going to take me? No. Wrong question. That's loser talk. You're toast. Well, like, depends how much, like, I'm really busy. How much time is it? Hey, I get it. We're all busy. But just so we're on the same page here, is this kind of like a nice to solve problem? Or are these migraines that are keeping you from your kids, keeping you from work half the time of the week? Is this something you're seriously ready to fix once and for all? Yes, I am. Great, because how much time is involved becomes irrelevant if that's the case. The good news, I'm not asking for 10 hours a day from you, but I will ask that you put in whatever amount of time to follow this plan. And even if this plan didn't take 10 hours, which it won't, but even if it did, it is the only thing that matters, because none of these other things are going to become real if we don't solve this. I just want to make sure we're on the same page, because a lot of people talk about wanting the goal, but they're not willing to do what it takes to get there. Are we talking the same language here? So this is an example of being honest with people. If they think it's too much work, fuck off. I don't want to work with floozy flakes. You are not obviously in that much pain. The reason people are not willing to commit, no matter what the issue is they think their situation's okay. Your job is to help them see that is absolutely atrocious. You're not going to tell them this. You're going to ask questions for them to bring it to surface. No pain, no change. If people think that their current situation is okay, they're not going to do anything about it. 1 to 2 hours sounds like a lot. Fuck, I don't know. Fair enough. If I were to kidnap your kids and I needed 1 to 2 hours a day from you to get them back, could you put that in? Oh yeah, no problem. So how's this any different? Okay, that's the acid test I always come back to, because it's a great reminder that it's never, ever, ever a matter of process. It's a matter of how badly somebody wants something. Remember the saying, when it's a must, we find a way. When it's not, we find an excuse. You're either buying someone's story or they're buying your solution. That's it. Number 9 is to bring up and neutralize objections early on. So very similar to challenging commitment. We don't want to do this stuff after you drop the price, because you're just going to be wasting your time. Okay, because now price is in the conversation. Now we're not talking about the real thing. People have to be sold on your process before the price. Also, what are the objections you're going to get at the end of the call? I need to talk to my spouse. Bullshit. I need to think about it. Bullshit. I need to meditate on it. Bullshit. Those are all stalls. Okay. It's too expensive. Potentially bullshit, maybe the truth. That's on you. If they don't have the money, that's on them. I'll do this later. I'm looking at some other options. So you have to neutralize all of this stuff, right? And so if you have someone coming in, the first thing you got to do is you got to neutralize all the alternatives and all the objections off the table. So let's say we're talking about back pain as an example. Obviously, what are the alternatives? Go to your chiro, go to your local physio, go to a gym, whatever. In the discovery, hey, I mean, just playing devil's advocate for a second, why don't you just try to go to a local chiropractor or physio or gym or Pilates studio to solve this? Let them tell you why none of that stuff makes sense, right? And then you can move into, okay, well, what was it about me that made you feel that I might be able to help you? So now they start selling you on you. in your process. But if you don't deal with that stuff, at the end of the call, I'm like, yeah, like I think I'm just going to like go down the street and see if my car will take care of it. You got to deal with that stuff early on. Okay. Around like spouse, get to like, hey, is there anyone else you want to have in this conversation early on? Or does everything around your back pain rest in your hands? No, it's just me. Okay, cool. Are you married by any chance? Yeah, I have a wife. Because it doesn't even matter if the wife is involved in the situation. If the person has a wife or a spouse, they're involved and they can be very easily used as a scapegoat, right? So you can bring that into the conversation. So what's your wife's name? Deborah. Awesome. How long have you guys been married? 25 years? Awesome. How do you do it? Right? So then like you kind of like build a bit of rapport there. As you get into the conversation, you start digging into the pain. Hey, by the way, I mean, how does Deborah feel about you dealing with this debilitating back pain every day? Right? Is she supportive of like all this, like everything you're going through? Is she supportive of you not being able to play with the kids and not being able to do stuff around the house? Right? Do you think that she'd be on your side if you found a solution that could solve this once and for all? Like you can move that objection stuff around the spouse into discovery. So what about the other one, which is basically, I'll do this later, right? Which is a common bullshit excuse. Listen, John, I talk with a lot of people in your situation. And to be honest, they talk a big game, but they don't really do anything about it. So why not just do what they do and push this down the road a couple months, if at all? So what I've just done there is I've like, instead of saying, is this a now thing for you? Which is a stupid question to ask. You just like, hey, why don't you just get to this like a lot of these other floozies do at some point down the road? No, like this is really like, I got to solve this once and for all though. I mean, but why though? Because it's what I'm doing here is I'm digging into the pain and urgency. Okay. And I'm looking for how they're talking about this. If they're like, well, like it'd be nice to solve because like, no, I'm like, and if I'm getting that kind of answer, I'm just like, hey man, I'm going to be honest with you throughout this whole call. If I'm like, from what I'm hearing, this just doesn't sound like this is important to you. Am I missing something? Or like, should we just call it a day? I can't push them away. You don't want to change. Why are we on this call? No, I do. Like, okay, cool. Awesome. We'll see, right? So try to bring all of the objections early on in the conversation so you neutralize them. So at the end of the call, you just get down to what's really going on. And they're like, I want to think about it. And then you know it's all bullshit. Cool, awesome. I totally understand you want to think about it. It's an important decision. When people tell me they want to think about it, what I usually hear is that it comes down to one of two things. One is they don't actually believe this can help them, which I don't think is your case. Otherwise, we wouldn't still be speaking at this point of the call, which leads me to believe it's the second thing, which has something to do with the investment. So which is it for you? Is it the price, the investment, or is it the payment options? Boom. I just get into like, I kill everything else because there's says, no, it's the price. I just don't know if this is going to work. Cool. That should have been dealt with before you even get to price. So you have to be like, you can see why there's so many nuances, layers to this. And I was speaking with someone recently, like, yeah, like I get like, 40 calls a month and I have a 10% close rate. I'm like, do you think that if your selling and communication skills were better, you could enroll maybe twice as many of those clients? Yeah, cool. So like, what do you want to do about that? Don't just keep doing the same thing because it's not a numbers game. It's a skills game. It's knowing what to say, knowing how to say it, and then showing up with the fullest conviction and care to actually help this person. Number 10, in terms of neutralizing, getting rid of these objections, is always, 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 when you get to price, tie it back into value. Talk about the results, not about the pain and details. Okay, so the program is $4,000 to solve this once and for all. And they're like, oh, that's a lot of money. Okay, so you want to have that conversation? Fair enough. We can go a lot of ways. Hey, that's totally fair. I understand why you might feel that way. When you say it's a lot of money, that's compared to what? Well, compared to stuff I haven't, I did before that didn't work. Yeah, the stuff that you said earlier that didn't work. And again, can you just remind me of why that stuff didn't work? Awesome. And were those things priced more expensively or less expensively than this? Less. Okay, cool. So is it fair to say that in life, you always get what you pay for? Yes. Why do you think, Mr. Prospect, this is priced the way it is? Well, because of that. Yeah, exactly. And do you think that you might show up at a higher level if this is a bigger investment for you? Yes. And what do you think that'll do for your results? You'll get better results or worse results? Better results. So what I'm hearing is that if money is a concern for you, then you will save more money by doing it right once as opposed to doing it wrong twice. So which would you rather do? Waste more time and energy and money on things that are not working for you, or solving this once and for all today and save money? Again, this or that. I want this. Great. Well, which payment option works best for you? Close the deal. Okay? We don't need to keep dancing around in these circles, right? Tie it back into the result. Now, in that case, I was kind of narrowing this objection down into the one key thing. But if they get lost in the dollars, okay, if they get lost in the dollars, the conversion rate, I'm in Canada, this is US dollars, 35% more. Hey, we're not going to let that get in the way of you never having migraines again. We're not going to let that get in the way of you potentially keeping your job as opposed to losing it, right? We're not going to let that get in the way of you being more present with your kids and being just feeling better in your skin and loving what you see in the mirror. Are we? So what I just did there is I didn't talk about the money. I came back to the results. People buy on emotion. Okay? So don't get stuck in the weeds of we can do a firm and then we can do 500 payments of $1 and then the interest rate is this. That's fucking amateur hour. Who gives a shit? The only time you get caught up in the weeds of dollars and cents is when you don't understand that it's not about the dollars and cents. You don't understand that. Hey, listen, okay, 4,000, it's a little bit more than you wanted to spend. Let me ask you this. If I threw a house in, would you want to move forward? Oh yeah, for sure. Really? Why? Well, because it's a house. How does that make things any different? Well, because now it's a valuable asset. It's okay, so the house is a valuable asset, but the house you live in every day, this one, isn't? Huh. Now I have a better understanding of why you're in this position in the first place. Do you want to do something about that, or do you want to keep telling the same story? Doesn't matter to me. It makes all the difference to you. So you have to get good at this, guys. I'm sharing this stuff because I didn't know how to do any of this stuff. I was a noob when I used to do sales. I used to hate it. And I got myself into situations where I didn't know how to handle them. And then I was so pissed off that I said to myself, I will never, ever, ever let this happen again. And I became obsessed with how to handle every possible nuanced situation. And even today, I don't do my own sales calls. I don't. But I still train and obsess and learn over sales on a daily basis. I love the art and the ability of being able to persuade someone to do something. It's like magic. But the best part is that it's in their best interest. Most people know what they want, but they're too afraid to move into it. So if you can get good at persuading people to do what's in their best interest, there's nothing else that's more valuable with your time. And the cool thing is you're always selling. Initially, you're selling yourself for a job. Eventually, you have a business, you're selling products or services. As you build a team, you're selling the vision. You're constantly selling to your team members to show up in a certain way. You're selling a standard, a philosophy. You're always selling. So you got to get good at it. Cool? So hopefully these 10 strategies to handle objections before they even arise has been helpful for you. I'd love to know below in the comments which one of these do you feel you can put into action on your next call. Thanks for hanging out. Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. I've personally spent more than $15 million on Facebook ads over the past few years with a significant return on ad spend, and I've helped thousands of health experts do the same. And today I'm going to share with you 7 major mistakes you're going to want to avoid if you want to scale your Facebook ads.